This is part 3, section 14 of our Vectorworks 2021 drafting tutorial. In this section, we're going to be looking at creating the front of house viewport, but we're going to do it using a slightly different method. So I'm in my drawing, and I'm going to change my active layer from the overhead light plot sheet layer to the light plot design layer. And I'm just going to zoom out and move here so I can get the whole thing on the page. And instead of drawing a rectangle defining the viewport initially, I'm just going to go up to View and Create Viewport. I get the same dialog box as before. So in our viewport name, we're going to name it FOH for front of house. And in our drop-down menu here, we're going to make sure that we are on FOH light plot sheet layer. I'm going to make sure that Create Drawing Label is deselected, and I'm going to verify that we're in 1/2 inch scale. And then I'm going to click OK. So it's created a viewport of the entire drawing, trying to fit it on one page, which obviously isn't going to work. So I'm going to double click on that viewport, and I get a couple of different options. I can either go into annotations, or I can go to crop. I'm going to select crop and click OK. And once that's selected, I'm going to activate my rectangle tool, and I'm going to draw a rectangle around everything that's part of my front of house. There we go. You can see that the part that's been omitted has kind of been grayed out. So once I've got that, I'm going to say Exit Viewport Crop. And now I'm just left with the section that I selected. So now we're going to need to move this into the center of the drawing. So I'm just going to click that and drag my viewport up into the center of my drawing. And obviously, I'm still over the size of my page here. So there are a couple of different options. You can either change the size of the page, or you can change the scale of the viewport that's being represented. In our case, we don't have anything on the box booms right now, so I'm just going to crop around them. So I'm going to double click on this again and make sure that I've got crop selected, and I'll say OK. And I'm going to just grab my handles and bring it down, and grab this handle and bring it in, and this handle and bring it in. So I'm just left with the two front of house trusses that actually have fixtures on them. Once I'm done with that, I'll click up here on Exit Viewport Crop, and you can see that everything else has been omitted. So I'm just going to grab this and move it up more into the center of my drawing. And I've successfully created my viewport. We need to do a little bit of editing and change a couple of things in our title block. So once again, I'm going to double click on that. And I want to be in Settings and Sheet Data, and I'll say OK. And within the sheet data, I want to make sure that I'm referencing today's date. And then I'll click OK. And that date will have been updated in my title block. The other thing that we need to do is bring our lighting key into this layer. So I'm going to go to my Layer drop-down menu and make Overhead Light Plot my active layer. I'll select the instrument key we created in the previous tutorial and just copy it, Command C. And then I'll go back to my FOH light plot layer. And I'm going to use a function that Vectorworks has, which is Paste in Place, which is Command Option V. And there you can see that the instrument key has been pasted exactly where it was in the other sheet layer. So that pretty well completes my front of house viewport and drawing. So I'm going to Fit to Page and save my file. And in the next section, we'll talk about exporting drawings to print.